This is the most important skill in lacrosse. Seriously, this is the most important skill in lacrosse, and it has everything to do with how you hold your stick. So what we're going to do is be very detailed with exactly where we want our fingers, and then I'll show you a little bit more of what the most common mistakes look like for this grip. Now, what we'll do to ensure that we're getting a full range of motion of our wrist snap, which is what this grip allows us to do, in order to utilize that full wrist snap, we're gonna use a prop. I usually use a towel, just like a rolled up towel. I don't have that with me right now. Instead, I have the New Hampshire Camping Guide, which I found in the back of my car. So let's focus on doing this righty today, but you can take this same concept and apply it to your left hand. So what we'll do is we'll tuck this prop, could be a t-shirt, honestly, whatever, under your, in this case, right armpit. And I'm not trying to squeeze that thing so tight so it doesn't fall. Just have it close enough so that it won't drop, but do your best to stay relaxed. And now what we'll do is we'll grip our stick in our right hand pretty much exactly like this. What I want to focus on, two key things. The thumb is on the side, and two is that the forefinger could be running up the base of the stick. And that's honestly the more important one to start at. So what often at times happens is we grip like this, and what we need to do is we need to get our wrist back. I don't want the stick across the palm like this. That's gonna promote pushing, therefore dropping this. Snapping your wrist with the proper grip is much, much more important. So what this does is it doesn't allow us to push, and we're only gonna be snapping our wrist. So to get more detailed with that grip, notice how the stick is at an angle across my palm, and that forefinger is running up the base. So that's gonna be the foundation, and now notice how the wrist is broken back. And then I'll let my fingers grip, and you can see the thumb is on the side. And as I get more used to this, I'll let that forefinger curl back around. But either way, it's that same placement along my hand that warrants this grip that will allow me the wrist snap we're looking for. So once you feel like you have this, just practice turning it over with the face of your stick looking at one particular thing. So wherever this butt end's pointed, if I turn this straight over, the ball will go on that line. So that's what we'll end up doing with the ball in our stick, but I think it's really helpful to do it a few times without a ball, so you can notice the little details of where your stick is, how the grip is, without having to worry about controlling the ball just yet. Let's just see if we can do this consistently. So this was gonna lead to a overhand throw, okay, straight over the top. So now we'll add a ball in and do it as a wall ball drill. Doesn't have to be a wall ball drill. This is honestly kind of jumping to a more advanced style of it, because anytime you play wall ball, you have to focus on catching as well. Whereas if this is a brand new concept for you, it might be helpful to do this just throwing a bunch against a fence or something that you don't have to worry about the catch. In this case, we're adding that factor, but the focus is much more on the throw. So I'll rotate a little, but it's all about this wrist snap with my right hand. Stick angle that you can see at this from that point of view is obviously super important, because if I turn it straight over, I have a very good idea of the line it's gonna throw. I want this ball to come back on the right side of my body. So by having that line straight, it allows me to keep this ball on my stick side the whole time. And what's doing the most work, like where I'm getting sore right now, is right here, right in my forearm, because my wrist snap is doing a majority of this work. The common mistake that you'll see at this point is the stick angle will want to float like that. A lot of us do that naturally. We wind up for our throws. That's fine in general, but we do want to adjust our stick angle. The more we wind our shoulders up, that doesn't mean I have to bring my stick with it. I can keep my stick on this line, wind my shoulders up, and then use that rotation into a throw without ever hanging my stick and leaving that trail check open. So I want to be cognizant of that butt end not getting too far from my face, okay? Keep that butt end close and then turn it straight over. Now I know I said the wrist is doing most of the work, but as we translate this to two-handed, I could easily turn this into shooting form and really getting a lot behind the ball. It's a really important angle to see relative to the center line here, where my hand ends up before, during, and after these throws, because it's going to have a lot of implications on what is generating the power. This is obviously a short pass I'm doing right now, but as I go into a two-handed version of this, I'll be able to utilize this next concept we'll go over to really generate a lot of power on my shot as well as staying controlled. So what I want you to notice is I'm facing perpendicular to my target in this case, which makes the center line of my body right here. Notice how my hand is behind that line in relation to the target. So because that hand is behind it, what that will allow me to do is utilize the rotation of my lower and upper body before I have to snap my wrist. I'm building momentum, rotational momentum in this case, before that wrist snap happens, which takes a lot of the pressure off of my wrist and lets the legs and the core do more work, which is helpful. So then I can just be focused on accuracy, being more deceptive here, not necessarily being powerful here, because that power is going to come from my lower body and my core. So that's an important to note, and what that would look like if I was a little bit off that line would be something like this. So you can see my shoulders are now facing my target. Here's the center line of my body, and you can see the hand is now in front of it. I can still throw like this, and this isn't even necessarily bad, but we want to take note of it because we're not going to be able to generate as much power this way. With my hand in front of this line, I really only have my wrist snap to rely on. I'm not able to use that same rotation as I was here. So they're going to be helpful in different situations, and it's helpful to, again, differentiate that, but not look at it on a spectrum of this is good or right or correct and that's bad and wrong, but more so these are just two different ways you could do it, and they're going to be useful in different situations. It all starts with that grip. It's predicated upon having that grip so that we can snap our wrist, whether I throw with my hand out in front of my body or I pull it back a little further, utilizing more lower body strength. Regardless, this is still the most important piece. So let's just make sure that we have the priority of the grip at the top of the list. There's going to be a ton of other things we can try to do, doing this on the run, doing this as a jump shot, inside finishing, lots of different ways we can use our stick to create different types of shots. But regardless, having this foundation of having a very, very, not only strong wrist with a good grip, but having the ability to be conscious of getting a full range of motion with that wrist snap will make you a much more effective passer, dodger, shooter than having too stiff or tight of a grip on the stick, leading to more pushing.